What if I told you that the most powerful tool you have isn't your job, your money, or even your relationships? It's something you're not using enough, and it's costing you more than you realize. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to unlock it. Let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention: the power of daily education. Not the kind you get in school, but the kind that shapes your mindset, your decisions, and ultimately, your life. This isn't about memorizing facts or passing tests. It's about building a life you're proud of. And it starts with one simple habit: educating yourself every single day. The power of daily learning. The concept of daily learning is one of the most transformative ideas you can embrace in your life. It's the idea that every single day, you have the opportunity to grow, improve, and become a better version of yourself. The world is constantly evolving, and the pace of change is faster than ever before. Technology, industries, and even the skills required to succeed in life are shifting at an unprecedented rate. If you're not actively learning, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind. The good news is that daily learning doesn't require a massive time commitment or a complete overhaul of your life. It's about making small, consistent efforts that compound over time to produce extraordinary results. Think about it. Every day you're faced with a choice. You can either take a step forward or take a step backward. There's no neutral ground. Even if you feel like you're standing still, the world around you is moving. And if you're not keeping up, you're effectively falling behind. This is why daily learning is so powerful. It's not just about acquiring new knowledge or skills. It's about staying relevant, adaptable, and competitive in a world that never stops changing. The beauty of daily learning is that it doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. You don't need to spend hours in a library or enroll in expensive courses to make progress. In fact, some of the most impactful learning happens in small, manageable doses. It could be as simple as reading a chapter of a book, listening to a podcast during your commute, or having a meaningful conversation with someone who knows more than you do. The key is consistency. When you commit to learning something new every day, no matter how small, you create a habit of growth that compounds. Over time, compounding is a concept often associated with finance, but it applies equally to learning. Just as small, consistent investments grow into significant wealth over time, small, consistent efforts to learn and improve can lead to massive personal and professional growth. Imagine reading just 10 pages of a book every day. That might not seem like much, but over the course of a year, it adds up to 3,150 pages, roughly equivalent to 12 to 15 books. That's a significant amount of knowledge that you wouldn't have otherwise acquired. And the more you learn, the more connections you can make between different ideas, which leads to deeper understanding and creativity. Daily learning also helps you develop a growth mindset, a term coined by psychologist Carol Dweck. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. People with a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, and see effort as a path to mastery. By committing to daily learning, you reinforce the idea that you're capable of growth and improvement, no matter where you start. Another benefit of daily learning is that it keeps you curious and engaged with the world. Curiosity is a powerful driver of innovation and creativity. When you're constantly seeking out new information and experiences, you're more likely to come up with fresh ideas and solutions to problems. Daily learning also helps you stay adaptable in the face of change. In a world where job roles, industries, and even entire career paths can disappear overnight, the ability to learn and adapt is one of the most valuable skills you can have. But perhaps the most compelling reason to embrace daily learning is the impact it can have on your confidence and self-esteem. When you're consistently learning and improving, you feel more capable and in control of your life. You start to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, and you develop a sense of agency that empowers you to take on new goals and aspirations. Over time, this confidence can spill over into every area of your life, from your career to your relationships to your personal well-being. Of course, daily learning isn't always easy. There will be days when you're busy, tired, or just not in the mood to learn something new. But that's where the power of habit comes in. When you make learning a non-negotiable part of your daily routine, it becomes easier to stick with it even on the tough days. And the more you do it, the more you'll start to see the benefits, which will motivate you to keep going. In conclusion, the power of daily learning lies in its simplicity and consistency. It's not about making huge leaps or overnight transformations. It's about taking small, deliberate steps every day that add up to significant progress over time. Whether you're reading a book, listening to a podcast, or having a conversation with someone who inspires you, the key is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward. The world is changing fast, and the only way to stay ahead is to commit to learning something new every day. So start today. Take that first step. You'll be amazed at how far you can go. Why most people don't do it if daily learning is so powerful? Why isn't everyone doing it? This is a question worth exploring because it reveals some of the common barriers that prevent people from embracing a lifestyle of continuous growth. The truth is, most people understand the importance of learning on some level, but they fail to prioritize it in their daily lives. They see it as optional, something to do when they have free time or when they're faced with a specific challenge. But the reality is that free time doesn't just magically appear, and waiting for the right moment to start learning is a recipe for stagnation. If you don't actively prioritize your growth, you'll wake up one day wondering why you're stuck in the same place while others have moved ahead. One of the biggest reasons people don't commit to daily learning is that they underestimate its value. They think of learning as something that happens in formal settings like schools or training programs, rather than something they can do on their own in their own time. This mindset leads them to believe that learning is only necessary when they're pursuing a degree or trying to acquire a specific skill for their job. But this is a narrow and limiting view of what learning can be. Learning isn't just about formal education. It's about expanding your horizons, challenging your assumptions, and staying curious about the world. When you see learning as a lifelong journey rather than a one-time event, you start to realize how much it can enrich every aspect of your life. Another reason people don't prioritize daily learning is that they underestimate the power of small, consistent efforts. They think that unless they're making big, dramatic changes, their efforts won't make a difference. This is a common misconception, and it's one that holds a lot of people back. The truth is, small, consistent actions are often more effective than sporadic bursts of effort. When you commit to learning something new every day, even if it's just for a few minutes, you create a habit of growth that compounds over time. But because the results aren't immediately visible, many people give up before they see the benefits. Time is another major barrier to daily learning. Most people feel like they don't have enough time in their day to dedicate to learning. Between work, family, and other responsibilities, it can feel impossible to carve out even a few minutes for personal growth. But the reality is that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and how we choose to spend those hours is a reflection of our priorities. If you don't make time for learning, it's not because you don't have time, it's because you haven't made it a priority. The key is to start small and be intentional about how you use your time. Even 10-15 minutes a day can make a difference if you're consistent. Fear is another factor that holds people back from daily learning. For some, the fear of failure or looking foolish prevents them from trying new things or stepping outside their comfort zone. They worry that they won't understand what they're learning or that they'll make mistakes along the way. But this fear is based on a misunderstanding of what learning is all about. Learning isn't about being perfect or getting everything right the first time. It's about exploring, experimenting, and growing. Mistakes are an inevitable part of the process, and they're often where the most valuable lessons are found. When you embrace a growth mindset, you start to see failure not as something to be feared, but as an opportunity to learn and improve. Another reason people don't commit to daily learning is that they lack clarity about what to learn. With so much information available, it can be overwhelming to know where to start. Some people get stuck in analysis paralysis, spending more time researching what to learn than actually learning. Others jump from one topic to another without ever diving deep enough to gain a meaningful understanding. The key is to focus on what's most relevant and valuable to you at this moment in your life. What skills or knowledge will help you achieve your current goals? What topics are you genuinely curious about? By starting with what matters most to you, you can build momentum and confidence that will carry you forward. Finally, many people don't commit to daily learning because they don't see the immediate payoff. In a world that values instant gratification, it can be hard to stay motivated when the results of your efforts aren't immediately visible. But the benefits of daily learning are cumulative, and they often take time to manifest. You might not notice a difference after a week or even a month, but over time, the small improvements add up to significant progress. The key is to trust the process and stay committed, even when the results aren't immediately apparent. The barriers to daily learning are real, but they're not insurmountable. By understanding and addressing these barriers, you can create a lifestyle of continuous growth and improvement. It starts with recognizing the value of daily learning and making it a priority in your life. It requires a shift in mindset, from seeing learning as optional to seeing it as essential. And it demands consistency, even when the results aren't immediately visible. The truth is, daily learning isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. So don't wait for the right moment to start. Take that first step today and keep moving forward. Your future self will thank you. The compound effect of knowledge. The compound effect of knowledge is one of the most powerful yet underappreciated concepts in personal and professional development. Just as compound interest allows money to grow exponentially over time, the same principle applies to knowledge. The more you learn, the more connections you can make between ideas, and the faster you grow intellectually, emotionally, and even socially. This compounding effect is what separates lifelong learners from those who stagnate. It's not about learning in massive bursts or cramming information. It's about consistent, incremental progress that builds over time. When you commit to learning something new every day, no matter how small, you set in motion a process that can transform your life in ways you might not even anticipate. To understand the compound effect of knowledge, let's break it down. Imagine reading just 10 pages of a book every day. At first glance, 10 pages might seem insignificant, but over the course of a year, those 10 pages a day add up to 3,650 pages. That's roughly equivalent to 12 books, depending on the length of the books. Now imagine maintaining this habit for 5 years. You'd have read 60 books. The impact of this consistent effort is profound. Not only would you have absorbed a wealth of information, but you'd also have developed a deeper understanding of the world, honed your critical thinking skills, and expanded your perspective. The question isn't whether this would make you smarter, wiser, and more capable, it's how much. The beauty of the compound effect is that it works quietly in the background. You might not notice the changes day to day, but over time, the results become undeniable. Think about it. Every book you read, every podcast you listen to, and every conversation you have with someone who knows more than you do adds to your mental repository of knowledge. Over time, these pieces of information start to connect, forming a web of understanding that enhances your ability to think critically, solve problems, and make informed decisions. This is the essence of the compound effect. It's not just about accumulating knowledge. It's about how that knowledge interacts and builds upon itself. One of the most exciting aspects of the compound effect is its ability to accelerate growth. The more you learn, the easier it becomes to learn new things. This is because knowledge builds on itself. For example, if you've read extensively about psychology, you'll find it easier to understand new concepts in that field because you already have a foundation to build on. Similarly, if you've developed a habit of learning, you'll find it easier to pick up new skills or dive into unfamiliar topics. This is why lifelong learners often seem to have a knack for picking up new things quickly. They've been compounding their knowledge for years. Another benefit of the compound effect is that it fosters creativity and innovation. When you have a broad base of knowledge, you're able to see connections between seemingly unrelated ideas. This is where breakthroughs happen. For example, Steve Jobs famously attributed Apple's success to his ability to connect the dots between technology and the humanities. He didn't just focus on one area of knowledge. He drew from a wide range of disciplines, which allowed him to think differently and create products that revolutionized entire industries. This is the power of compounding knowledge. It doesn't just make you smarter, it makes you more creative and innovative. But here's the catch. The compound effect only works if you start today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you have more time. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll begin to see the benefits. Delaying your learning journey by even a day means missing out on the opportunity to compound your knowledge. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Procrastination is the enemy of growth, and it's one of the main reasons people fail to achieve their full potential. The key is to take action now, no matter how small the step. Starting small is crucial because it makes the process manageable. If you try to take on too much at once, you're likely to get overwhelmed and give up. But if you start with something achievable, like reading 10 pages a day or listening to a 15-minute podcast, you'll build momentum and confidence. Over time, you can gradually increase your efforts, but the important thing is to start. Remember, the compound effect works over the long term, so consistency is more important than intensity. Another important aspect of the compound effect is that it requires patience. Unlike compound interest, which you can see growing in a bank account, the growth of knowledge is often invisible. You might not notice the changes day to day, but over time, the results will become apparent. This is why it's important to trust the process and stay committed, even when you don't see immediate results. The compound effect is a long-term game, and the rewards are worth the wait. In conclusion, the compound effect of knowledge is a powerful force that can transform your life. By committing to daily learning, no matter how small the effort, you set in motion a process that accelerates your growth and enhances your abilities. The key is to start today and stay consistent. Over time, the small incremental improvements will add up to significant progress, and you'll find yourself smarter, wiser, and more capable than you ever imagined. So don't wait. Start compounding your knowledge today and watch as it transforms your life in ways you never thought possible. How to build a learning routine. Building a learning routine is one of the most effective ways to ensure that you consistently grow and improve over time. The key to success lies in making learning a non-negotiable part of your daily life, just like brushing your teeth or eating breakfast. When you treat learning as a priority rather than an afterthought, you create a habit that becomes second nature. But how do you actually build a learning routine that sticks? It starts with intention, structure, and a commitment to consistency. The first step in building a learning routine is to identify a specific time in your day that you can dedicate to learning. This could be first thing in the morning, during your lunch break, or before bed. The important thing is to choose a time that works for you and stick to it. For example, if you're a morning person, you might find it helpful to spend 15-30 minutes reading or listening to a podcast before starting your day. If you're more of a night owl, you might prefer to unwind with a book or an online course in the evening. The key is to make this time non-negotiable. Treat it as an appointment with yourself that you can't miss. Once you've identified your learning time, the next step is to decide what you're going to learn. This will depend on your goals, interests, and current level of knowledge. For example, if you're looking to advance in your career, you might focus on learning new skills related to your job. If you're more interested in personal growth, you might explore topics like psychology, philosophy, or self-improvement. The important thing is to choose something that excites you and aligns with your goals. When you're passionate about what you're learning, it's easier to stay motivated and consistent. Another important aspect of building a learning routine is to start small. It's easy to get overwhelmed if you try to take on too much at once, so it's better to start with something manageable and gradually increase your efforts over time. For example, you might start by reading just 10 pages of a book a day or listening to a 15-minute podcast. Once this becomes a habit, you can increase the amount of time you spend learning or take on more challenging material. The key is to build momentum and confidence by starting small and staying consistent. Consistency is the cornerstone of any successful learning routine. It's not about how much you learn in a single day. It's about how consistently you learn over time. Even if you only have 15 minutes a day to dedicate to learning, those 15 minutes will add up over time. The compound effect of knowledge means that small, consistent efforts lead to significant progress over the long term. So even if your learning sessions are short, don't underestimate their impact. The key is to show up every day, no matter what. To make your learning routine stick, it's important to create an environment that supports your goals. This might mean setting up a dedicated space for learning, free from distractions. It could also mean using tools and resources that make learning easier and more enjoyable. For example, you might use a reading app to track your progress, join an online community of learners for support, or invest in a high-quality pair of headphones for listening to podcasts or audiobooks. The more you can optimize your environment for learning, the easier it will be to stay consistent. Another helpful strategy is to incorporate variety into your learning routine. While consistency is important, it's also important to keep things fresh and engaging. This might mean alternating between different types of learning materials such as books, podcasts, videos, and online courses. It could also mean exploring different topics or disciplines to keep your mind stimulated. Variety not only makes learning more enjoyable, but also helps you make connections between different ideas, which enhances your overall understanding. Accountability can also play a key role in building a learning routine. Sharing your goals with a friend, family member, or mentor can help you stay on track and motivated. You might even consider finding a learning partner or joining a study group to make the process more social and collaborative. When you have someone to share your progress with, it's easier to stay committed and accountable. Finally, it's important to be patient and kind to yourself as you build your learning routine. There will be days when you're busy, tired, or just not in the mood to learn. That's okay. The important thing is to get back on track as soon as possible and not let a single setback derail your progress. Remember, building a learning routine is a long-term investment in yourself, and the rewards are worth the effort. In conclusion, building a learning routine is one of the most effective ways to ensure consistent growth and improvement. By identifying a specific time for learning, choosing materials that excite you, starting small, and staying consistent, you can create a habit that transforms your life. The key is to make learning a non-negotiable part of your daily routine and to trust the process, even when progress feels slow. Over time, the compound effect of knowledge will work in your favor, and you'll find yourself smarter, wiser, and more capable than ever before. So start today. Your future self will thank you. What to learn? First, when it comes to daily learning, one of the most common questions people ask is, what should I learn first? The answer to this question depends entirely on where you are in life and where you want to go. Learning is not a one-size-fits-all endeavor. It's a deeply personal journey that should align with your goals, interests, and aspirations. The key is to start with something that excites you, because passion is what fuels consistency. If you're genuinely interested in what you're learning, you're far more likely to stick with it and make it a regular part of your life. If your primary focus is career advancement, the best place to start is by identifying skills that make you more valuable in your field. This could involve learning new technical skills such as coding, data analysis, or project management, or developing soft skills like communication, leadership, or negotiation. The specific skills you choose will depend on your industry and role, but the goal is the same: to position yourself as an indispensable asset to your team or organization. One effective way to identify what to learn is to look at job descriptions for roles you aspire to. What skills or qualifications are they asking for? These are the areas you should focus on. Additionally, consider seeking feedback from mentors, colleagues, or supervisors to identify gaps in your knowledge or skills that you can address through learning. On the other hand, if your focus is personal growth, there are countless topics you can explore to enrich your life. Emotional intelligence, for example, is a powerful area of study that can improve your relationships, self-awareness, and decision-making. Mindfulness and meditation are other popular topics that can help you manage stress, increase focus, and cultivate a sense of inner peace. Productivity is another area worth exploring, as it can help you make the most of your time and energy. Books, podcasts, and online courses on these topics are widely available and can provide valuable insights and practical tools for self-improvement. The important thing is to choose something that resonates with you. If you're passionate about a topic, you'll naturally be more motivated to engage with it regularly. For example, if you've always been fascinated by history, diving into a book or documentary series on a historical period you love can be both enjoyable and educational. Similarly, if you're curious about a particular hobby, such as photography, cooking, or gardening, learning more about it can bring a sense of fulfillment and joy to your daily life. It's also worth noting that you don't have to limit yourself to one area of learning. In fact, exploring a variety of topics can make your learning journey more dynamic and enriching. For instance, you might spend a few months focusing on career-related skills and then shift your attention to personal development or a creative pursuit. The key is to remain flexible and open to new opportunities for growth. Ultimately, the question of what to learn first is less about finding the right answer and more about taking the first step. The most important thing is to start somewhere, anywhere, and build momentum from there. Over time, you'll gain clarity about what matters most to you and where you want to focus your efforts. But for now, choose something that excites you. Commit to learning a little bit every day and trust that the process will lead you where you need to go. Learning from failure is an inevitable part of any learning journey, but it's also one of the most powerful tools for growth. The hard truth is that you're going to fail a lot. But here's the secret. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's an essential part of the process. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn, and every lesson you learn brings you closer to your goals. The key is to embrace failure as a teacher rather than a setback, and to use it as a stepping stone to future success. One of the most important things to understand about failure is that it's not a reflection of your worth or potential. It's simply a natural byproduct of trying new things, taking risks, and pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. In fact, if you're not failing, it's a sign that you're not challenging yourself enough. The most successful people in the world, whether in business, sports, or the arts, have all experienced failure at some point. What sets them apart is their ability to learn from their mistakes and keep moving forward. The process of learning from failure begins with reflection. When something doesn't go as planned, take the time to analyze what went wrong and why. Was it a lack of preparation, a flawed strategy, an unforeseen obstacle? By identifying the root cause of the failure, you can gain valuable insights that will help you avoid making the same mistake in the future. This is where daily learning becomes a game changer. By committing to learning something new every day, you develop the habit of continuous improvement, which makes it easier to turn setbacks into opportunities for growth. Another important aspect of learning from failure is maintaining a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. People with a growth mindset see failure not as a dead end, but as a stepping stone on the path to success. They understand that every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow, and they're willing to put in the work to improve. Cultivating a growth mindset takes time and practice, but it's one of the most powerful tools you can have in your learning arsenal. It's also important to remember that failure is not the end of the road. Just because you failed at something doesn't mean you'll never succeed. In fact, many of the greatest achievements in history were preceded by numerous failures. Thomas Edison, for example, famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. What made him successful was his persistence and his willingness to learn from each failure. The same principle applies to your own learning journey. Every failure brings you one step closer to success, as long as you're willing to keep trying. Finally, don't be afraid to seek support when you're struggling with failure, whether it's a mentor, a friend, or a community of like-minded you. Learners having a support system can make a world of difference. They can offer encouragement, advice, and a fresh perspective that can help you see your failures in a new light. Remember, you're not alone in this journey, and there's no shame in asking for help. In conclusion, failure is an inevitable and valuable part of the learning process. By embracing failure as a teacher, reflecting on your mistakes, and maintaining a growth mindset, you can turn setbacks into stepping stones and continue moving forward on your path to success. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid of not learning from it. Surround yourself with wisdom. One of the fastest and most effective ways to grow is to learn from those who have already achieved what you aspire to accomplish. Whether it's through books, podcasts, interviews, or direct mentorship, surrounding yourself with wisdom can accelerate your learning and help you avoid common pitfalls. The idea is simple. Instead of reinventing the wheel, you can stand on the shoulders of giants and benefit from their knowledge and experience. Reading books written by experts in your field is one of the easiest ways to gain insights and learn best practices. Whether it's a memoir, a how-to guide, or a deep dive into a specific topic, books offer a wealth of knowledge that you can absorb at your own pace. Similarly, listening to podcasts or watching interviews with successful individuals can provide valuable lessons and inspiration. Many of these resources are readily available and often free, making them an accessible way to learn from the best. But don't stop at consuming content. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to be better. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Growth happens when you're pushed outside your comfort zone and exposed to new ideas and perspectives. Seek out mentors, join communities of like-minded learners, and engage in conversations with people who have different experiences and expertise than you do. These interactions can provide fresh insights, spark new ideas, and help you see things from a different angle. The key is to be proactive in seeking out wisdom and to remain open to learning from others. By surrounding yourself with knowledge and people who inspire you, you'll create an environment that fosters continuous growth and improvement. The role of discipline is the backbone of any successful learning journey. While motivation can spark the initial desire to learn, it's discipline that keeps you going when the excitement fades. Let's face it, there will be days when you don't feel like learning. You'll be tired after a long day, overwhelmed with responsibilities, or simply not in the mood. On those days, motivation will be nowhere to be found. But discipline will be there to pick you up and keep you moving forward. The difference between motivation and discipline is that motivation is fleeting. It's an emotional state that comes and goes, often dependent on external factors like mood, energy levels, or circumstances. Discipline, on the other hand, is a habit. It's the decision to show up and do the work even when you don't feel like it. It's the commitment to your goals and the understanding that progress is made through consistent effort, not sporadic bursts of inspiration. Building discipline starts with setting clear intentions. Why are you learning? What do you hope to achieve? When you have a strong why, it's easier to stay disciplined because you're connected to a deeper purpose. For example, if you're learning a new skill to advance your career, remind yourself of the opportunities it will create. If you're studying a topic for personal growth, think about how it will improve your life and relationships. Your why becomes your anchor, keeping you grounded and focused even on the toughest days. Another key to developing discipline is creating a routine. When learning becomes a non-negotiable part of your day, it's easier to stay consistent. Treat your learning time like an appointment you can't miss. Whether it's 15 minutes in the morning or an hour before bed, make it a priority. Over time, this routine will become a habit, and the effort required to stick with it will diminish. Discipline, like any skill, gets stronger with practice. It's also important to anticipate challenges and plan for them. Life is unpredictable, and there will always be obstacles that threaten to derail your progress. Maybe you'll have a busy week at work, or you'll feel burnt out and unmotivated. In those moments, having a plan can make all the difference. For example, if you know you'll be tired in the evenings, schedule your learning time for the morning. If you're traveling or have a packed schedule, opt for shorter, more manageable learning activities, like listening to a podcast or reading a few pages of a book. The key is to adapt without giving up. Finally, celebrate your efforts, not just your outcomes. Discipline is hard work, and it's important to acknowledge the effort you're putting in, even if the results aren't immediately visible. Every time you choose to learn, even when it's difficult, you're strengthening your discipline and building momentum. Over time, these small acts of discipline will compound into significant progress. In conclusion, discipline is the secret ingredient that turns learning from a sporadic activity into a lifelong habit. It's what keeps you going when motivation runs out and ensures that you stay on track toward your goals. By setting clear intentions, creating a routine, anticipating challenges, and celebrating your efforts, you can cultivate the discipline needed to achieve lasting growth. Remember, discipline beats motivation every time, so show up, even on the tough days, and keep moving forward. Measuring your progress. One of the most important aspects of a successful learning journey is the ability to measure your progress. Without tracking your growth, it's easy to feel like you're not making any headway, even when you are. Measuring progress isn't about perfection, it's about recognizing the small wins and understanding how they add up to big changes over time. By keeping track of what you've learned and how you've applied it, you can stay motivated, identify areas for improvement, and celebrate your achievements. One of the simplest ways to measure progress is by keeping a learning journal. This could be a physical notebook, a digital document, or even a dedicated app. The key is to record what you've learned each day, week, or month, along with any insights or reflections. For example, if you read a chapter of a book, write down the key takeaways and how they apply to your life. If you complete an online course, note the skills you've gained and how you plan to use them. Over time, this journal will become a valuable record of your growth and a source of motivation when you need a reminder of how far you've come. Another way to measure progress is by setting specific, measurable goals instead of vague objectives, like learn more about marketing. Set clear targets such as complete a marketing course by the end of the month or read 3 books on marketing this quarter. These goals give you a concrete way to track your progress and ensure that you're moving in the right direction. When you achieve a goal, take the time to celebrate it, whether it's with a small reward or simply acknowledging your accomplishment. It's also important to reflect on how you've applied what you've learned. Knowledge is only valuable when it's put into practice, so take note of how you've used your new skills or insights in real-life situations. For example, if you've been learning about emotional intelligence, reflect on how it's improved your relationships or communication. If you've been studying productivity techniques, track how they've helped you manage your time more effectively. These real-world applications are the ultimate measure of your progress. Tracking progress isn't just about recognizing successes, it's also about identifying areas for improvement. By reviewing your learning journal or goals, you can spot patterns and trends that reveal where you might need to focus more effort. For example, if you notice that you're consistently struggling, to stay consistent with your learning routine, you might need to adjust your schedule or find ways to stay motivated. If you're not seeing the results you hoped for, you might need to revisit your goals or try a different approach. The key is to use your progress tracking as a tool for continuous improvement. Finally, remember that progress isn't always linear. There will be ups and downs, breakthroughs, and plateaus. The important thing is to keep going, even when progress feels slow. Every small step forward is a step in the right direction, and over time, these steps add up to significant growth. By measuring your progress, you can stay focused, motivated, and committed to your learning journey. In conclusion, measuring your progress is an essential part of any learning journey. It helps you stay motivated, identify areas for improvement, and celebrate your achievements. Whether it's through a learning journal, specific goals, or real-world applications, tracking your growth ensures that you're moving forward and making the most of your efforts. Remember, progress isn't about perfection. It's about the small wins that add up to big changes over time. The ripple effect of growth. When you commit to daily learning and personal growth, the impact extends far beyond yourself. Growth has a ripple effect. It doesn't just change your life. It changes the lives of everyone around you. Your family, friends, co-workers, and even your community benefit from your growth. As you become a better version of yourself, you inspire others to do the same. You become a source of inspiration, a role model, and a leader. And that's the ultimate goal. Not just to be successful, but to make a difference. One of the most immediate ways your growth impacts others is through your relationships. When you learn to communicate more effectively, manage your emotions, or develop greater empathy, your relationships improve. You become a better partner, parent, friend, and colleague. Your growth creates a positive environment that encourages others to grow as well. For example, if you're learning about mindfulness and practicing it in your daily life, you might inspire your family to adopt similar practices. If you're developing leadership skills, you might empower your team to reach new heights. Your growth has the power to uplift those around you. Your growth also positions you as a role model. When people see you committing to learning, overcoming challenges, and achieving your goals, they're inspired to do the same. Your actions speak louder than words, and your dedication to growth sets an example that others can follow. This is especially true in professional settings, where your growth can influence your coworkers and even your organization's culture. By demonstrating a commitment to continuous improvement, you encourage others to prioritize their own development. Another way your growth creates a ripple effect is through the knowledge and skills you share. As you learn, you have the opportunity to pass on what you've learned to others. Whether it's through mentoring, teaching, or simply sharing insights in conversations, your growth becomes a resource for others. For example, if you've learned a new skill at work, you can teach it to your colleagues, helping them grow as well. If you've gained wisdom from a book or course, you can share it with friends or family members who might benefit. Your growth becomes a gift that keeps on giving. The ripple effect of growth also extends to your community and beyond. When you grow, you're better equipped to contribute to the world around you. Whether it's through volunteering, creating something of value, or simply being a positive influence, your growth enables you to make a meaningful impact. For example, if you've learned about sustainability, you might take steps to reduce your environmental footprint and inspire others to do the same. If you've developed leadership skills, you might take on a role in your community that allows you to make a difference. Your growth becomes a force for good in the world. In conclusion, the ripple effect of growth is one of the most beautiful aspects of committing to daily learning. When you grow, you don't just change your own life, you change the lives of everyone around you. Your relationships improve, you become a role model, and you have the opportunity to share your knowledge and skills with others. Ultimately, your growth enables you to make a difference in the world. So keep learning, keep growing, and watch as your impact ripples out, creating positive change far beyond yourself. So let's recap. Daily learning is the most powerful tool you have. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Start small, stay disciplined, and surround yourself with wisdom. Over time, you'll see the compound effect of your efforts. You'll become smarter, wiser, and more capable. And most importantly, you'll create a life you're proud of.